Marvel's brand new Ultimate Universe has had an amazing run throughout the course of 2024. Every title that has been released up until this point has been nothing short of amazing. From the beginning of Ultimate Universe #1 after the Ultimate Invasion event, where we got to see Tony Stark's Iron Lad and Reed Richards' Doctor Doom free Thor from his prison, grab Sif, and eventually take on a bit of the Maker's Council and set up potentially what will end up being the brand new Ultimates universe to try and bring back the world to the world of heroism that the Maker altered and changed into his twisted image. Has been such a wild ride that I could not wait to check out every single issue the moment it dropped from any of these titles. Before giving you my full thoughts on the Ultimate Marvel Universe and some brief thoughts on the titles, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I'm making on the channel and shows you want to see more of what I have in store. I'm going to be doing videos on each of the individual Ultimate Marvel comics that we got, as well as the new ones that will eventually start coming out in 2025. So look forward to that. I am super excited for the future of Ultimate Marvel. Now from 2024 onward, we actually had 4 Ultimate Universe titles. There was Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men, and The Ultimates. While us in December, we also got one single issue of Ultimate Universe 1 year in. Now, in terms of all of these books, they have had such an amazing run, with our first real exploration into the Ultimate Universe that we have now being obviously Ultimate Spider-Man. And this is definitely my personal favorite of the entirety of Ultimate Marvel. I know, shocker. Ultimate Spider-Man, written by Jonathan Hickman, is probably one of the fan favorites of this entire new universe. And one of the things that made people really enjoy it and want to really give it a shot is something that the mainline Marvel comic for the Amazing Spider-Man has not done in well over a decade, and that was give Peter Parker a win. Let him be happy. Now, in the alternate version of this new Marvel universe, Peter was never bit by the radioactive spider, and so he kind of lived his life as per normal in this altered world created by the Maker and his council, where he ended up marrying Mary Jane and having 2 kids, something that people have been wanting since like the late 80s to 90s from what I remember correctly. In terms of the time frame, back when Peter Parker and MJ were married, expecting to have a kid, but we also had Ben Reilly taking over Spider-Man after the whole clone saga kerfuffle that was going on, and eventually Peter and MJ lost the kid, and then we had the events of One More Day where Peter and MJ kind of lost their marriage to Mephisto. Whole big thing. You can find multiple different videos on YouTube talking about One More Day, and also how Marvel just wanted to keep Peter Parker stagnant for years upon years upon years. And even with the most recent run of Spider-Man comics over the last few years for Amazing Spider-Man, we thought we were going to get MJ and Peter finally fully get together and actually undo One More Day. But no, we just hit the reset button all over again, and so we have a lot of other stuff going on in the comic, and Peter never really got that pseudo-happy ending that he got, even though him and Mary Jane were married for years in the comics before the One More Day event, which I still find absurd to a point, but it is what it is. But that's why Ultimate Spider-Man was given such high praise and expectations the moment it dropped. This is about a Peter Parker in his early to mid 30s, married to MJ and having 2 kids, him having a career and having a family and being happily married. And in this universe, we have Uncle Ben being alive, Peter and Uncle Ben work at the Daily Bugle, all bunch of stuff going on, but we end up getting the reveal that Tony Stark ended up sending out these orbs to a bunch of different heroes, or supposed to be heroes, in this new universe, giving them the weapons or the catalysts that would jumpstart their hero careers so that he could potentially bring back the heroes of these universe. That way, when the Maker is unsealed from the city, an army of heroes will be ready to take him and his council on full force. And Peter gets a really cool high-tech suit that he eventually gets to essentially become Spider-Man. He gets bit by a radioactive spider that the Maker somehow, for some reason, kept in a vault somewhere, and Tony sent it to him. He became Spider-Man, and he's building his career up now with the family drama that he has right now. And something that ends up being relatively interesting is that the secret identity thing, at least in terms of the family of Ultimate Spider-Man, isn't kept for too long, and it's actually part of what makes this comic very interesting and what makes Peter and MJ's relationship ever so incredible to watch in this entire comic run with everything going on. We also learn more about Harry Osborn, what he has to play on this. We get our introduction into this brand new Sinister Six, what's going on with the Kingpin in New York City, and just a whole, this is no pun intended, web of intrigue throughout Manhattan that ends up being a part of the wider world building of this new Ultimate Universe, seeing just how it affects the rest of the world, and how with this information and getting his powers back, Peter is navigating everything that's going on and rebuilding his life essentially as a hero and getting used to being Spider-Man now much older and having to reteach himself all of this stuff. And the same thing can be said about Ultimate Black Panther. In this universe, Black Panther is still around. T'Challa is still the king of Wakanda, married to Okoye. Shuri is definitely the head of the science division, but it's part of a African civil war where Khonshu and Ra, their relative avatars, are taking over all of Africa, mining its resources, radicalizing the citizens, and we get a lot of political intrigue about T'Challa, what he wants to do with Wakanda, what's going to happen with the rest of Africa, as it deepens the wider lore of this new Ultimate Universe, this version of Wakanda and Vibranium, and what's going on with these new gods and the Maker's Council. And it's fleshing out T'Challa in this new universe in such a very unique way, in my opinion, that despite me actually really liking Black Panther comics for the most part, this is definitely my favorite thing I've read of Black Panther in a while, and I just cannot wait to see what happens with this, because like Ultimate Spider-Man, Black Panther establishes and expands on the wider world building of this brand new Ultimate Universe, as it has direct ties to the overarching story that is being built up throughout the entirety of Ultimate Marvel. And as we eventually get to see what's going on with the politics of Wakanda and eventually what's going on in the rest of Africa, we end up meeting two characters that I wasn't expecting so early on, but were relatively teased in some of the earlier within the first two issues, and that's Killmonger and Storm. I'm curious to see how this is going to play out with Killmonger, if there's ever the reveal that he is in this universe, if he is related to T'Challa as well, which I do believe that's going to be the case regardless. We're keeping certain aspects of origin stories and character relationships relatively the same, but altering them in different ways depending on how the maker kind of changed things to such a wide degree. And to this instance, Wakanda's isolationist nature from the past going into the present kind of helped it not be fully altered by the Maker's Council, at least from what we can see and how things are playing out. So I'm very curious to see where this is going to happen from this point onward. And based off of a prophecy within the first few issues, it seems like we might actually get like Storm and T'Challa getting together like they did in mainline comics. And if we do end up going that route, I'd be very interested to see how this will end up bridging a divide between T'Challa and Killmonger and Okoye, and seeing how the drama will unfold from that. But I'm liking Killmonger and Storm's role in this brand new story for T'Challa, and seeing how it expands even more. So kudos to the Black Panther and Ultimate Black Panther storyline. I'm loving every single issue of it, and it just keeps getting better. Now the third solo title technically is Ultimate X-Men that we have in this new universe, but this one is actually a lot more different than Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther, and later on the Ultimates, as this one doesn't fully flesh out the wider world building and storyline of the Ultimate Universe. Instead, Peach Momoko, the writer and artist for this comic, with her very unique art style and more manga-centric storytelling for the new X-Men, for Ultimate X-Men, kind of keeps a more isolated story for this, a more intimate story with just Hisako, her friends, and how the revelation of mutants in this new Ultimate Universe is being handled by, at least right now, Japan, and then expanding out to the wider world. Now, we don't get to see anything really going on with the Maker's Council, just so we know that some character named Viper is on the Maker's Council, and later in Ultimate Universe Year 1, we see another character that's related to the Council that's part of Japan, so we have to see how that whole thing is played out in the wider story. But for now, we're focusing primarily on just everything going on with Hisaku's personal life and her friends, and how this all stems from the death of one of her middle school friends, or one of her best friends, Tsubasa, and how we end up going into a more horror supernatural-esque view of the new X-Men lore within the Ultimate Universe. And with Peach Momoko's unique art style and how she draws everything with a more horror aesthetic, this is definitely something that I am very much looking forward to seeing how she expands the mutants and the story of this new X-Men group going forward, as we don't have our usual suspects for a new X-Men line. Right now, the only real named characters in this universe that have like code names are really Hisako, who is Armor, May, who's Maystorm, Kanan as Psylocke, Noriko as Surge, and we also have another character who ends up being the Shadow King, which I'm not too well versed in X-Men lore. I'm still, again, getting caught up with a lot of X-Men comics, so there's still a lot I don't fully know in terms of the overarching lore and I'm catching up on. But despite the fact that whenever we get new X-Men, we usually keep to the same relative main cast, with either being the original 5 X-Men of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, Beast, and Angel, or having Wolverine thrown in there with some other characters. This new lineup of characters we end up meeting, exploring, building their relationship with, and then expanding on for the wider conflict of this comic feels refreshing, even in this brand new and refreshing universe. And Isako's struggle is definitely something that I am very much looking forward to see explored, as the entire events of this comic are really weighing down on her and even her friends, and seeing all this play out is really interesting to see, and I just can't wait to see more from this really great comic. And I can't wait to see how eventually Peach Momoko could potentially tie us into the wider Ultimate Marvel Universe storyline that is going on right now. And lastly, we have the Ultimates, which is the main overarching storyline for the Ultimate Universe, played out in this new Avengers-esque title. The Ultimates are the Ultimate Universe's version of the Avengers. Iron Lad, Dr. Doom, who is Reed Richards in this universe, we got Captain America, we eventually end up getting the Human Torch, we get a brand new version of She-Hulk, a new Hawkeye, we end up getting America Chavez, Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's honestly really cool. We get to see how Tony ends up trying to create this Ultimates network to try and essentially recreate the quote-unquote Avengers of this universe and push people to take on the mantle of being a hero by giving them the catalyst, like I mentioned in the Spider-Man section, of what made them heroes, what essentially helped define their identities, so that he can push them and tell them that, you know, the world's a lie, Maker took away what would have helped make you a hero and a huge part of your life going forward, take that back. But what made it interesting is that not everybody took up Tony on his offer, and a lot of characters either ignored him, threw the stuff away, or even died due to not being able to fully control their powers or equipment right away, and so it just ended up being a big problem, which Tony had to be more hands-on, along with Doom, to bring people to his cause. And I love how Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne are the first two that they end up recruiting outside of Captain America thawing him from the ice, and having Thor on their team as well, which I don't know why I didn't mention Thor and Sif like I did originally with Ultimate Universe, but whatever. And taking the fight to the Maker's Council, trying to fix things, seeing what the Maker's Council has done and build up their forces, and have a few conflicts with them. And the world building done within this comic alone, and the Maker's reach and how far he has twisted this universe and its characters and its people is just insane to really think about. And the fact that throughout every single issue, we eventually get a timer saying how long left until the Maker is freed from the time prison within the city that happened during the events of Ultimate Invasion, which set up everything going on in this new Ultimate Universe. The pain, the struggles, the personal journeys of everybody involved in this team comic is amazing. I love the Avengers, and the way the Ultimates are being done, it's definitely a new version of the Avengers, but with a twist, and seeing them be the underdogs throughout their entire run, essentially fighting against the world, being branded as terrorists for going against what many believe to be the status quo, and others being fooled into believing the propaganda and the lies of the Maker's Council. And so seeing them navigate that while also trying to recruit and reestablish more heroes and essentially increase their influence through the world and help people, it's such a great story. A world where heroes are the underdogs right off the bat is not a whole new concept, but the way the all new Ultimate Universe is being done really makes me root for these characters, even with the setbacks, even with the hard times, and they only have about 7 issues out right now. And the amount that was covered in those issues really shows that every single writer, not just in the Ultimates, but in every single comic run in the Ultimate Universe, knows what they're doing, knows what they're building up to, the plan that they have in the background that they want to get to for a grand finale for their first real foray into this brand new universe. And I still cannot wait to see what happens next. The Ultimates is definitely my second favorite comic right now, with X-Men and Black Panther kind of being tied because they're both really good, but I just can't say enough how much I enjoy the Ultimate Universe and how much I cannot wait to read it each and every title every single month. And by the time this video is ready and the channel is fully in swing, the first issue of Ultimate Wolverine will probably be out, so I'll try and get a video on that either by the time this video comes out or after this video comes out, because man, I really want to talk about Ultimate Wolverine because that looks incredible, and I can't wait to see how that ends up expanding the lore within the universe and see what happens with Wolverine in this brand new Ultimate Universe. universe. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to see what else and what we get within 2025 for this amazingly created Ultimate Universe for Marvel. But what do you guys think of the Ultimate Universe so far? What's your favorite book right now, and what are you looking forward to seeing being answered and done with future storylines for each one? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I hope you had an ultimate time. Cannot wait to see you for the next video.